What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Power Play with CJ. Today, I want to talk about what the lockout means to the fans of Minnesota and the Wild organization on the whole. This was going to be a great season even before they signed Suter and Parise with a couple of top prospects. Entering their first season of professional hockey with Granlund coming over, Zach Phillips, Charlie Coyle, Jonas Brodin's down in Houston too. A bunch of guys that are ready to make that jump, and they're not there. And obviously, they go out and spend the money and bring in Suter and Parise, the two of the marquee American players in the game, and the two best players in free agency. And then this happens. And then the most disturbing thing, if I'm a Wild fan, is that Craig Leopold's one calling for NHL salaries to be reduced when he was the one that went out and signed those guys. I mean, that's really a guy that really shouldn't be an owner of a team, and if he is, he shouldn't be given $100 million contracts and then expecting something back. Now, he did front each of them $10 million, but it's still an absolute disgrace, and I think this was really, you look back to why the North Stars failed in Minnesota when you got that much high school and college hockey in competition with them. The Wild were doing slightly better, but at the same time, never really found their niche, I don't think, with college hockey and high school hockey was right supreme in that state. But they go out, they spend the money, they bring in two guys with ties to Minnesota. Zach Parise was a great player in Minnesota, even though he played at Shattuck. They still consider him one of their own. And then I think Suter's wife's from Minnesota, I believe, something like that. But come on, they do that, they bring it in, they got arguably the best farm system in hockey, and then they go ahead and screw it up with this. I mean, come on. And it's too bad. I mean, I don't know what the situation's gonna be when they do stop playing again. I know Craig Leopold, like I said, the one calling for a lot of the drawback, and Jeremy Jacobs is too. Whoops. But I think that's the rough deal with when you got when it comes to business, and that's what it is, not overall. And the fans get screwed. But I think honestly, whatever steam the Wild had going into the season, had it started on time, they've lost, which is true because the team in the AHL, Houston's playing great. Those young kids are getting nice time and really playing up to the level of expectations. But it's disappointing, it's disheartening, and at the same time, you look at why the North Stars failed, and you're kind of seeing that again because they're gonna end up so far behind the eight ball. Like I talked about the Kings in LA, the Clippers and Lakers are stealing all the headlines, and the Kings won the Stanley Cup. That's what you get when you're not playing. So people forget about you. And I think in Minnesota, I know it's obviously hockey, the state of hockey and all that, but at the same time, the Timberwolves, I've got a pretty exciting team. I love even Kevin Love and Rubio are hurt, so I guess they lose some street cred there. But at the same time, they're falling behind the eight ball. I mean, the Vikings are playing well with Christian Ponder and Adrian Peterson. So, I don't know what it's going to look like. I know the fans in Minnesota will be there. I don't think they'll be out in as great numbers because there's a loss of trust there. They're spending money, they're getting it done, and then they want the money back. I mean, see what happens. But, I think they'll be in great shape. I love the prospects they have in that organization. I love Granlund. I love Coyle's game. I love Zach Phillips. And I think all those guys will develop into some pretty high-end talent sooner rather than later to complement Parise and Suter. That's all I got in this episode of the Power Play with CJ on how the Minnesota Wild are affected by the NHL lockout. Stay tuned for more episodes throughout the offseason, lockout, and beyond. Later, guys.